Good afternoon all. So we will discuss about index number in this session. That is, uh, we have QABD for second semester BCom, Bangalore University. It is index number. Index number is a fifth chapter as per Bangalore University syllabus. So when we take up a syllabus goes like this. Try to understand. Syllabus goes like this. One is meaning and definition of index number, uses and classification of index number, how do you construct index number, methods of constructing index number. So under methods we'll be finding, under methods we'll be finding two broad category. One is simple aggregative and simple average, and weighted index method. Under weighted index method we'll have Laspier's, Pastor's, Marshall's, Darvish, Fisher's. At the last, we have consumer's price index number. Now, coming to Bangalore University marks point of view, that is question paper marks point of view, we will be getting index number for 6 marks as well as 14 marks. And one compulsory theory will be arising from this chapter. Okay, so index number will come for 2 marks, one question, that is 2 into 1, it is 2, 6 into 1, 6, and 14 into 1, 14. So 14 plus 6 plus 2 will be getting 22 marks out of this chapter. Now, try to understand. We have two major categories of, two major words in the chapter index number. Two major words. One is index and other is number. Getting it right? One is index and other is number. Now what basically you will understand by word index. First of all, index is something, getting it right? Index is something which is a sign or a measure or a record. Getting it right? Index is something, it's a sign as per when we talk about noun. When we take up in a verb form, index is something, it adds up a value, price, wages, payments, salary. Getting it right? It's a sign, basically it's a sign. Now what number is? Number is a particular series or sequence where an index is, where the sign is indicating it. Getting it right? So index is all about where exactly we lie. Now index number, when we talk about index number, it's something which shows a price variation. Getting it right? Index number, it's basically a statistical tool, right? Basically a statistical tool which shows, getting it right, which shows about the variation, in the price. What sort of variation? See, we'll take up a good example like this. We will take up an example. When we compare a gold price for 6 months, when we take up a gold price for 6 months, we'll definitely find a variation. Getting it right? So we'll definitely find a variation. We'll have a variations in a gold price. Why? What does this gold price indicates? That is very important. What does this gold price indicates? I can show you the examples now that you can see in the screen. Today, we have various changes in the gold price. Getting it right? That you can see. We have lots of changes in the gold price. What sort of changes, if you can see, the graph which you can see here, It's gold price that is measured in USD. Um, Lots of changes. 1 month it was, so you can see the charts, which I can highlight. You can see the charts, okay, which is been seeing on this, which has been displaying on the screen. There are lots of variation. Getting it right. I can show this as a basic measure from December 2019 to June 11, 2020. You can see ups and downs of what gold price. Getting it right, you can see ups and downs of the gold price. So definitely this is a very important point from the index number point of view. So what exactly we are trying to tell is index number is all about to measure what will be the variation, what will be the changes in the future. Getting it right? What will be the changes in the future? So now, and what changes has been taken and how it has been measured for a period of time. And why do we take index number is simple. To know the variation in a particular sector for a period of time and to take reliable decisions. Getting it right? Next is definition of index number. Okay. Index number are devices which are used in measuring the differences in the magnitude of a group of related variables. You can take like this. Profit and sales, they belong to the same group but different variables, are related variables. Getting it right? Profits of different uh, different sectors, or we can say the variables which we can have. So index number which acts as a measure which takes all the other factors into consideration and it measures the related variable with different magnitude in the sense with different approaches. Getting it right? Magnitude is all about with different approaches. Extent, to what extent you can measure. So different magnitude with the related variable is somewhere the size, somewhere to the extent, somewhere the scope, the boundary it can define. So index number, it's all about the valuation, the strategies which measures the ups and downs, the differences of the related variable in a magnitudinal effect. So it takes various factors into consideration and start measuring, like profit and sales, prices of gold rate, silver rate, share prices. Getting it right? So this is very important point of view. Fine. Now, when we talk about uses of index number, try to understand. When we see about the uses of index number, first is index number are useful in comparing the variation in the production. So we have to compare, we have to see to that what sort of variation has been happening either in profits, either in production, and we will find out and diagnose the problem for we will understand the variation in the production process and then start the decision making process. So it's very simple, right? Index number which helps in comparing the variation in the production process, and then we have to start taking up the decision. Next. Next is, with the use of index number, prices, industrialist and businessman can plan their activities, such as production of goods, their stock, etc. So, with the use of index number, prices, industrialist and businessman and other activities can take place. So, index number is somewhere it acts as a guiding principle for the business. Next is, which is helpful in framing suitable policies. So index number helps, as I said you, it measures the variation. It helps in taking up it helps the industrialists in taking up the decision. It helps in planning everything. So definitely it acts as a wonderful strategy in developing and in taking the decision. Next, purchasing power of money. Obviously, index number also helps in identifying the purchasing power. Adjustment in wages, what sort of whether what price, what was the previous year's price and what is current year's price, what was previous year's quantity and what is current year's quantity. Next is adjustment in wages. Wages has to be adjusted, and it helps in also comparing the living standards. Fine, because we'll be taking the process for a long period of time. So once we are taking this, getting it right, which helps in comparing living standards, we'll be taking a data for a very long period, for very big periods. So once we are taking the data for long periods, definitely we can compare the standard of living of a people. We can predict. Definitely it helps in taking up the decision. It is wider applicable. It has a broader scope. The applicability of index number. Why? Because we have n number of data. I can show you the same example as such. Getting it right. We have n number of data. So once we have data, we can have a better prediction, and its applicability is too good. Help in revealing the trends. Index number is somewhere related to time series, and it helps in revealing the trends. What is exact trend now? What is happening here? Exactly this. So these consequences you can understand when we take up the numerical part. Getting it right? When we take up numerical part in a very consistent way. So process has its own measures, its own opportunities, where index number can be used for a very long period of time. And these are all the uses of index number. Next is limitations of index number. What are the limitations? First of all, sampling error. It may go with pivot survey because the sample may not match with the population. There may be error in the samples what we have drawn from the population. From that sample error, what the conclusion we are drawing might be, might lead once again to the error. So sample what you have drawn to be taken care, and if the sample itself is wrong, or if sample is not meeting the criteria with the whole population, definitely index number doesn't play any vital role. I think you can understand. Next is quality of product remains the same. Definitely right. There will be no quality changes in the quality you take for a period of time. Specific index for specific purpose. Definitely there is a stereotype index which is being well designed. Everything is stereotype. It talks about very stereotype methodology. No changes in taste habits in customers. It takes only the product production process and variety of method of construction. In index number, we have diversities. Getting it right? We have lots and lots of diversities in index number. So once the index number is there, definitely you can avail those opportunities. So and when the methods are more, definitely you can find the vivid opportunities in framing up the index number. And these are all the limitations which we can list out. And such limitations can be placed on the records. So limitations, even though we have these many limitations, but the varieties of opportunities can be handled. That is very important point. This is what the limitations of index number. In the next session, we will take up the calculations of index number, methods in calculating index number, and the numerical problems.